The door of the boardroom was already halfway open when the air changed, thick with finality and fury, the kind that tells everyone in the room that something precious has just been lost forever. The Arab billionaire's face was carved from anger and disappointment, his decision made, his patience exhausted, and the future of dozens of people collapsing silently behind him. In that frozen moment, when even hope seemed too afraid to breathe, a small, fragile presence shifted the course of fate in a way no contract, no apology, and no fortune ever could. Before the story goes any further, pause for a second. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of unexpected moments to change lives, please like this video, share it with someone who needs hope today, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. Your support keeps stories like this alive. The meeting had begun like so many others, with polished tables, towering windows, and confident promises that sounded stronger than they truly were. The billionaire had flown in after months of delays, broken deadlines, and financial losses tied to a project he had once believed would redefine an entire city. He was not just wealthy, he was disciplined, principled, and deeply rooted in values shaped by struggle long before success. Betrayal, even unintentional, was something he found difficult to forgive. As reports piled up and excuses circled the room, his patience thinned, and his trust quietly shattered. At the far end of the room stood a single father, not in a tailored suit but in a worker's uniform still marked by the honest signs of labor. He had been called in as a last formality, a representative of the ground staff who maintained the building where the failed project was housed. Life had not been gentle with him. His wife had passed away years earlier, leaving him with a 6-year-old daughter and a mountain of responsibilities that never seemed to shrink. He worked multiple jobs, cleaned offices after hours, and carried exhaustion like a second skin, yet he never once left his daughter behind. That day, childcare had fallen through, and the boardroom became an unlikely shelter for a child with a small backpack and wide, observant eyes. As tension rose, the child stood quietly near the table, watching adults crumble under the weight of their own pride and fear. Papers lay scattered, pens forgotten, and silence grew heavier with every second. The billionaire rose from his chair, his decision final, his presence commanding. The project was over. He was leaving, and with him went funding, jobs, and fragile dreams held together by thin threads of hope. It was then that the impossible happened. The little girl, who had been silent the entire time, looked up at the towering man with a curiosity untouched by fear or status. Something in his expression reminded her of stories her father once told her at night, stories of deserts, stars, and languages filled with warmth and poetry. Without understanding the consequences, without knowing the power of timing, she leaned forward and whispered a single sentence in his mother tongue, a phrase her father had taught her simply because he believed children should know the beauty of many cultures. The sound of that language, soft and trembling yet sincere, cut through the room like light through darkness. The billionaire stopped mid-step. His hand remained on the door, but his heart was suddenly somewhere far away, pulled back through decades of memory. That language was not just words to him, it was the voice of his mother calling him home, the prayers of his childhood, the comfort of a world where dignity mattered more than profit. Hearing it from a child's mouth, in a place so cold and transactional, shook something loose inside him. He turned slowly, not as a businessman, but as a man remembering who he once was. The room watched in disbelief as his anger softened into confusion, then reflection. His eyes moved from the child to her father, who stood frozen, unaware that his simple effort to teach his daughter kindness had just bridged a canyon of resentment. In that moment, the billionaire did not see failure or incompetence, he saw humanity. He saw a man who had lost everything yet still raised a child with respect for other cultures, a child brave enough to speak from the heart without expecting anything in return. The billionaire returned to the table, not to argue, but to listen. He asked for reports again, not as accusations, but as explanations. He questioned timelines, not with rage, but with curiosity. Slowly, the room breathed again. Solutions emerged where excuses once stood. Mistakes were acknowledged, not hidden. And for the first time since the project began to crumble, collaboration replaced fear. The single father remained in the background, his heart pounding, unsure of what had just happened. His daughter clutched his hand, unaware that her innocent whisper had saved livelihoods. To her, it was just a moment of connection. To everyone else, it was a miracle born from empathy. Over the following weeks, the project was restructured instead of abandoned. Jobs were preserved. New leadership was introduced. The billionaire made fewer public appearances but more meaningful changes, insisting on transparency and community involvement. Quietly, without cameras or announcements, he arranged educational support for the child and offered stable employment to her father, not as charity, but as recognition of character. Near the end of this story, take a moment to reflect. If this journey has touched your heart, if it reminded you that even the smallest voice can change the biggest outcomes, please engage with this video. Your likes, shares, and comments help spread these stories of hope to people who desperately need them. Just before we reach the ending, here is a special request. Please comment below with one word that represents what this story made you feel. Your words matter more than you know. Years later, when the building stood completed and alive with purpose, few remembered the meeting that almost ended everything. Fewer still knew that the turning point was not a negotiation or a signature, but a child's whisper in a forgotten language. The billionaire often carried that moment with him, a reminder that power means nothing without compassion, and that the future is sometimes saved not by those who speak the loudest, but by those who speak with the purest hearts. And somewhere in that city, a single father continued his life with dignity, his daughter growing up knowing that kindness, spoken softly and sincerely, can stop even the angriest footsteps at the door.